Hello, fellow creatives. Let's learn how to build with foundations on Aberration stone and metal cliff platforms, the platform I am standing on and the one behind me. So that way you can make nice looking base with outer base walls that come to nice, solid points, just like what's over here. Because otherwise you'd have lots of gaps you'd have to deal with, and it's just, frustrating. But the easiest way to do this is to line up with a metal foundation because they have these nice, solid sides. You come up here, and you see where the green is going into the platform, the green outline. Line it up with those two little round dots, and then come up to the line, then you just line it up with the middle like that, and you just place one like that. Then you repeat it for each of these other sides. So let me do two really quick, and I can show you how these line up. These metal cliff platforms are frankly a lot easier to build on than the stone ones. Despite the higher material cost, it's probably worth the trade-off, as you'll learn later, because we'll do those in just a minute. Okay, we have 3 metal foundations, and once you have them placed on each little pie slice here, you can replace them with whatever you want. But the way we make them line up is we come out here with a metal ceiling, and we come over here one, and we build in here like so, and it gives us just a nice little overlap that comes to a nice little point, so that when you're building with objects like these, they come in solid, right? And just to make sure that we did it correctly, let's just go around this pie slice. There we go. So this has a little more overlap, but you do get really close, like within this kind of tolerance between the two corners right there. So that is just really easy how you build with foundations on these things. And then you can just bring the foundations all the way back if you want. And then fill in the middle with floors. It should overlap pretty nicely like so. All right, so let's hop on over here to the stone fence foundations. Now, this is a lot harder to build on because each pie slice is actually a slightly different size. So there's no easy way to replicate what we did over there. As well with the stone pattern, there's just no pattern or lines or anything to build on. And the different pie slices make it a little difficult to use measuring sticks like fence foundations to find a middle point, at least reliably. So this is going to take a lot of trial and error for each of you, for each of the pie slices. So check out this one. We have a stone fence foundation here, and the last little hole in each one comes right up to the edge of this square little block. But if we go over here and you look, this hole goes into the square block as well as this one. So you can kind of see the different sizes demonstrated right there. And that's a really just kind of, oh, it's so frustrating. But if you are just really adamant on building on these, I'm going to show you how. So here's how we do this, is you line up these things like so. And for the most part, you just want to stick them in here so that the last hole there kind of goes into the square block right there. And then if you line this up, you should see it kind of doing about the same thing. And this gives you a rough sort of middle point here. And what we do here is we're going to use these metal foundations again, because again, they're nice and solid, and they give us nice little guidelines here and with the grid pattern. So let me try. There we go. So what we want to do is we want to line it up so that that vertical line on the grid pattern, let me see if I can zoom in, just barely kisses the edge of the wood grain there. And you want it to do that way on both sides. So I'm going to adjust a little bit until we can get it to our satisfaction. Okay, so here we go. We have the vertical grid line right here kissing up against the wood grain. And then on this side, we have the same thing. So now what we do is we're going to just kind of sidle over here, just kind of sideways. We're going to line up the camera so that it looks like it's perfectly centered on me as well as on the platform. So it's not angled at all. And then you line it up with the little spokes coming out of the fence foundations down below. See those? So you do that. Looks like it's right in the middle. And then we paste it in. All right. So now we do that on another couple of these. All right. I've got 3 foundations placed. And once you have them placed, you can actually go ahead and just delete or get rid of these stone fence foundations. And then now we're going to go ahead and place our ceilings down. And you don't have to use metal, of course, but that's what I'm using right now. And of course, there we go. We have a nice little outline here that comes together at a fairly decent kind of point. If we go ahead and do our wall test, you'll see that you can't see through it. There's no gaps. It doesn't line up exactly correctly, but that's because we kind of have an ad hoc solution here for these stone platforms. And of course, you see there's a little more overlap here, and that's because these pie slices are different sizes once again. So, you know, your mileage may vary. And there's also something else, is that sometimes on these larger ones, you know, where there's these larger gaps, you will end up with a bit of a gap. Now, you can always adjust the foundation placement slightly. You can always replace it and try to get rid of that gap. But that's where I'm talking about, where you're going to have a lot of trial and error come in. So be sure to spend resources on this if you're adamant in using stone cliff platforms. Or use GG Fizz's video on how to learn how to build using fence foundations instead of regular foundations. So that's how you lay out foundations. Now, of course, once you have the foundation set, you can just bring them on in, like so, all the way in, and then you can overlap them with metal ceilings, just like that. Or, you know, use whatever pattern you want. But anyway, this is how you lay out foundations so that you can build something cool like this UFO house over here. And in my next video, we'll learn how to actually build that house. That video is going to show up in the top right-hand corner once it's live. Now, people love creative people, and I want to help you create a sense of belonging that's built around sharing your creativity with others. So hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button to stick around and then become a little more creative by clicking on one of the videos on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, go make something awesome. Bye.